Hey, and welcome to the second episode of the FilmKind podcast. I'm Kieran McLean, and in this episode I'm going to review the latest film to feature the giant ape known as Kong. Yep, this is my review of Kong Skull Island.
What the hell is this place?
That's Kong. He's king around here. Kong's a pretty good king. Keeps to himself mostly. Well, you don't go into someone's house and start dropping bombs unless you're picking a fight.
This time around, Kong is directed by Jordan Vogt-Roberts, who decided to break the tradition and have this film take place in the 70s. So basically, this film follows a group of soldiers, scientists and explorers who are sent to discover the island that has never been touched by mankind before. Obviously, things don't go exactly to plan when a gigantic gorilla shows up and starts punching things. The team gets separated almost as soon as they arrive on Skull Island, and the film pretty much follows them as they try to get back together. I'll start this review with some of the things I liked about Kong Skull Island. Kong is amazing in this film. This isn't like the 2014 version of Godzilla, which I actually kinda liked. This film lets you see Kong very early in the movie, and he's amazing when he's on screen. This version of Kong is bigger, stronger and more badass than any previous versions of this character. We get to see this iconic monster and this gigantic creature do things that we've never seen before, and every time Kong shows up and whenever he's on screen, it's a really fun film and we get to see some really cool sequences. The action and the monsters in this film are actually really cool. It's really fun to see the island come to life and kind of explore the different creatures that cause trouble for the group and for Kong. I also really liked the look and the tone of this film. Like I said before, this version of Kong is really influenced by the 70s, and everything we see on screen has that kind of look and that tone of that decade. The cinematography in this film is near perfect. This is a really nice film to look at and kind of sit back and think about how amazing everything looks. And that isn't just the scenery and the island. The way they show Kong and the way his size is displayed is done really well. You really believe how big this ape is, and it's really cool to see how Kong was brought to screen and how big he looks compared to the humans. And that's probably everything I liked about this film. I went into Kong Skull Island really excited about what I was hoping to see, but I must admit I'm pretty disappointed in the film that I walked out seeing. Now getting on to some of the things that I don't think really worked with Kong Skull Island. First off, the characters aren't very relatable and don't really get much of a chance to develop in this film. Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, John Goodman and a lot of the cast are pretty much just one big plot device to get us to the island and get Kong on screen. Other than that, they don't really have a purpose in this movie. We get some attempts at development from Hiddleston and Larson, but other than that, these characters aren't very likeable and you don't really care who lives or dies. The performances weren't bad. In fact, the cast did a pretty good job with what they were given. They just weren't given the opportunity with the script. We didn't really get any development or any understanding of who these characters were before they landed on the island, and that just made it so we didn't really care what happened to them once they got there. However, when it comes to a film about King Kong, I am willing to forgive some lack of character development. The main draw of this film was to show King Kong, and they did a pretty damn good job at that. I just wish the characters were introduced better and had a better development throughout this film and this story. There were some characters that I did enjoy in this film. I think John C. Reilly's character was fun and probably the highlight for the human cast. He was kind of crazy and at times had a few laughs, and I didn't really mind him as a character, but again I didn't really care about him either. I also kind of enjoyed Samuel L. Jackson's character just because he's probably the only guy in this film with a purpose and a mission. We know what he's doing and we know why he's doing it, and he's probably the only character in this entire film that had that reasoning. The other problem I had with this film was the awful attempt at humour. There are a few funny moments spread throughout the film, but there are also a lot of jokes and one-liners that just fall flat. It was actually awkward to hear the silence after some of the jokes landed. I don't understand why every one of these films needs to have a joke. It's like the writers watched a Marvel film and figured they needed to do that kind of humour. But that kind of comedy doesn't work with a film like King Kong. This is a monster movie. It's fun enough to see Kong kick ass. We don't need these cheesy jokes. Overall, this isn't a bad film, but it's also not a great one, and that forces us to question why it was ever even made. We have so many great interpretations of King Kong. Why just add another one to the list that doesn't add anything special or great to this character? Saying that, I did really enjoy Kong in this film, and I'm excited to see how he'll be brought in to fight Godzilla. But looking at this film, I'm not really sure how this monster universe will work if this creative team can't even come together and create well-written and well-developed characters. That's it for my review, guys. I'm going to give Kong Skull Island 6 out of 10. This isn't a great movie, but it's also not a terrible one. It's a pretty average, it's probably the most okayish film I've seen in a long time. This episode was presented and brought to you from Monkeys Fighting Robots. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this podcast. Also, don't forget to let me know what you thought of Kong Skull Island in the comments section below. I'll see you in the next episode.